what's good, Commanders fans? Hope everybody had a good Memorial Day weekend. I had a good weekend, so back here with you guys. So the Commanders have made a couple of moves here. They signed safety Terell Burgess, who played for the Rams, played for the Giants, Super Bowl champion, went to Utah University. I'll talk about him a little bit. Don't know much about him, gonna be honest, but I'll talk about some stats and stuff I found on him. And they signed tight end Brandon Dillon. I made a video about Brandon Dillon on Saturday, and because of the whole Armani Rogers being getting injured, they brought him in for a workout. They ended up signing tight end Brandon Dillon, who played for the Vikings, played a couple games for the Vikings, was on the Saints practice squad as well. And they released Cam Dantzler, man, already. It's kind of like Orlando Scandrick. When they released Orlando Scandrick quickly, I want to say they released Orlando Scandrick in training camp before the 53-man roster cut downs. But Cam Dantzler is already released, man. Like, they signed him off waivers, I want to say. He was a former, second or third round pick from the Vikings. And they already released him. I know, because everybody was like, oh, they're going to release Kendall Fuller. They're going to release Kendall Fuller because they drafted him on Forrest. But no, they're just going to cut Cam Dantzler. I don't know how Cam looked in OTAs. A lot of people say, like, oh, who cares about OTAs? But I guess he didn't really look. It didn't look the way that they wanted him to look in OTAs, and they just released him, Maybe somebody else stepped up, Quan Martin, and they were like, okay, we're just going to roll with Quan, St. Juice, Kendall, Forbes, and Danny Johnson, So I personally, Cam Dantzler being released, and Wild Goose, maybe Castro Fields showed up and played really well in OTAs, that could be the case, or it could not be the case. I don't know, but Cam Dantzler already released, man. Like I said, Cam Dantzler, man, he had a really it was either his rookie year or his sophomore year where he had a really good season, and then it just hasn't worked out so far for him. 6'2", 290 pounds. Another guy out of Mississippi State. I think the sophomore season was the good year. Looking at some of his numbers right here, on Pro Football Reference. Yeah, his sophomore year was the good year. He gave up 54% completion percentage allowed, and only a 74.7 quarterback rating allowed as well. Had 2 picks his rookie year, 1 pick his sophomore season, and then they brought in a new coach in Kevin O'Connell, new defensive coordinator. They didn't draft him, and kind of fell out of favor with the Vikings. Then we pick him up, and already cut after 1 week of OTAs. Only 24 years old, man. Only 24 years. Drafted in the 3rd round, 89th overall pick, man. So I think he still has some talent there. Not the fastest guy in the world. Ran like a 4.6 or something like that, 4.5, which is not bad, but not known for his speed, long arms, lengthy corner. I think he can help a team out for sure. So, but it looks like Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio, looks like they whatever happened to OTAs, they're ready to move on already. So it is what it is on that. I'll move on. Andrew Norwell, I was waiting on that to happen. It's about darn time. I'm going to read the write-up on that one because Tom Pelissero says they're expected to release Andrew Norwell once he passes a physical per league source. He was due $4.42 million in 2023, including $1 million guaranteed for injury only. So now before they release him, they only have $2 million in cap space per spot rack. So this is gonna give them a little bit of wiggle room. So maybe they sign another corner that can come in and actually make the roster, not just a camp body. We'll see. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, tight end, I know they're not going to make any big moves at tight end. They already signed Brandon Miller. They believe in Cole Turner and Logan Thomas. But yeah, I mean, they do need some cap space. They do. They haven't signed Forbes yet to his rookie deal, so we'll see what happens there. But Cam Dantzler, it's a little surprising to me, man. I really thought he was going to make some type of impact. I didn't see him starting, but at least being a rotational piece at the cornerback position, because Ben St. Juice, the last 2 years, he just hasn't played nearly close to 17 games both seasons. The concussion 1 year, the injury he had last year. That quarterback depth, man, we need it. We do. We need it. I like Quan Martin a lot. I like Forbes a lot too. But Ben St. Juice, the way he's been, we need depth at that quarterback spot. So maybe Castro Fields steps up. Maybe Wild Goose steps up. One of those guys steps up. Castro Fields did have an interception. So we'll see. Christian Holmes is still on the roster too as well. So we'll see at that cornerback spot. Andrew Norwell, was about darn time. Look at his PFF grade. He was awful. You didn't even have to look at PFF numbers to see how bad he was. The Eagles game was just atrocious. He could barely move. Ron signed his former Panthers guys. It was just a terrible. Him and Trey Turner, man. Trey Turner's a free agent. I would not bring him back. They're not going to bring him back anyway. But Andrew Norwell, it was time. It was time. It was a 1-year deal. Actually, I'm sorry, not a 1-year deal, but it was more than that. But yeah, it's time to move on. Andrew Norwell was a great player for the Panthers. He was okay for the Jags, but It did not work out here. 5 penalties on the year, 4 sacks allowed, 59.8 overall PFF grade. Just not a good play. Just not a good year for him. Not a good year. Had a good career with Ron in Carolina, but over here, not good at all. Not good at all. Could barely move. Was a turnstile at the left guard spot. And we're still looking for a left guard. We'll see if Sadiq Charles or Chris Paul can step up and start and be better than what Andrew Norwell was at that left guard spot, which I think won't really be easy. Won't be hard to do at all. So, all right. So Brandon Dillon, I like the signing. Hasn't played much in the league. Look at his numbers. He played in the XFL, played for the Vegas Vipers. He played in 1 game with the Minnesota Vikings in 2019, 3 games in 2020, 1 game in 2021. Kirk Cousins gave him the nickname the Marion Flash. He did go to Marion University, which is an NAIA school. In the preseason, he had a couple good preseason games. He had a couple good preseason games in the preseason of 2021. Had 8 catches for 95 yards on 8 targets. Had the 6th highest receiving tight end grade in the preseason at 87.0 and a 95. He had a 95 overall. He had a 95 tight end grade and 87 overall grade. So he did really, really well in the preseason. He had the 6th highest receiving tight end grade in the preseason. So he's got some good hands. He's a big fella. 6'5", 250 pounds. He went to the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl right before he entered the draft. This is what a write-up had to say about him. This guy named Dillon on Roto World. He said, Brandon Dillon is a smooth route runner with exciting yards and after-the-catch ability. We don't have a lot of yak guys on this roster. His physicality and fierce competitiveness stood out, especially during the week of practice at the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl, where the step-up in level of competition did not prove to be too big for him. So I'm intrigued by Brandon Dillon, man. I really am. He's got good hands, good yak ability, can move. Ran a 4.77 40-yard dash. I like this guy, Brandon Dillon, man. I don't know if he's going to make the roster, but we needed some depth there for sure. And I think he's a guy that can come in and help us out here. So, yeah, like I said, ran a 4.7 40-yard dash, a 7.05 cone drill, 32.5 vertical jump as well, 74-inch wingspan. So I'm intrigued, man. I think he's a talented guy. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if he's going to make the roster, but I think he could definitely make some impact here. And we need depth. We got a couple injury-prone guys on the roster. And just unproven guys on the roster. Just a lot of improving guys on this roster right now. So he was a standout at the NAIA Marion, located in Indianapolis, earning first-team All-Mid-State Football Association honors as a junior and senior. He garnered NAIA All-America honors as a senior in 2018 with 35 catches for 603 yards, 17.2 yards per catch, with 5 touchdowns while playing in all 11 games. As a junior in 2017, he finished with 34 catches for 532 yards and 4 touchdowns. So the production is there. 6'5", 230 pounds. So he could be a red zone target as well if he does make the roster. It was on the New York Jets practice squad team. Was on a practice squad with the Saints as well. So I'm intrigued by Brandon Dillon. I like him. I watched a couple highlights. I like what I saw from him from the small snippet that I saw. All right, let's talk about Terell Burgess here. He was a former third-round pick, 104th overall, drafted by the LA Rams. Safety, 5'11", 202 pounds. From California, 24 years old, played 7 games in 2020, 16 games in 2021, 2 starts, 8 games played in 2022, and 1 start as well. You look at some of his advanced numbers. Was only targeted 77 times in 2020, only targeted 6 times in 2021, only targeted 2 times in 2022. Gave up a 57 completion percentage in 2020, gave up an 83% completion percentage in 2021. So he just hasn't played a lot of snaps. He did make a big tackle on George Kittle in the playoffs for the Rams when they played against the Niners. So that's one notable thing that he did do. Was a solid player at Utah University. His draft profile as well. I'll read up a couple of his strengths and weaknesses, and then I'll wrap this video up. So he did play safety and corner and nickel corner, so he can play that hybrid Buffalo nickel role that they love so much, positional flex. Strengths is lauded by scouts, coaches, and teammates for his preparation. So Ron Rivera, he's loving that. Has ability to align the back end, reads play development, and has field awareness of a pro. Has tools for interchangeable safety and nickel roles. Like I said, positional flex. Buffalo nickel there. Discipline with good recognition of misdirection. Tough for quarterbacks to manipulate in too deep. Avoids rub routes and slip screen blocks in space. Weaknesses: was a full-time starter for only 1 season at Utah. Borderline size to play down safety. Slender legs and thin through the hips. A little sluggish to unlock hips when match and release. So like I said, I don't know much about him, but let's see if he makes the roster. Let's see if he can make impact as well. Let's look at some of his numbers as well. Ran a 4.46 40-yard dash, bench 20 times, broad jump 122 and a 33.5-inch vertical. So solid numbers, not great numbers, nothing that wows you, but solid numbers athletically. So you guys let me know what you guys think. Andrew Norwell was about time he was released. Cam Dantzler is a little bit surprising to me for sure. And I like this guy, Brandon Dillon. Like I said, the tight end room, a lot of people have been providing me pushback about the tight end room. But like I said, I think it's fair to say that the tight end room is unproven and somewhat injury prone as well. And I got the bucket hat, guys. You guys, I see the comments about the bucket hat, so it is what it is on that. The Celtics, I'm so happy the Celtics lost last night. I'm so happy about that. And prize picks, I got that right. Jimmy Butler. I'm sorry, Jimmy Butler. He almost got 42.5 PRA. He ended up with 41, but it's okay with that one. So, all right, you guys. I'm gonna say the Nuggets win the series. I'm gonna just say that now before the finals get started. But hell to the Commanders. Peace.